sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain, muscular discomfort. Entirely up to you. If you want to keep it going, keep going. If you want to stop and have a little rest, to stop and rest, to stop and stretch whenever you need to. If you make sure that you've got the ball or the pillow, and then a band or a strap for a little assistance, a little resistance. So if I'm seated, I'm just going to try and find the best seated position I possibly can. So trying to raise through the chest to see if I can create space for the abdomen. So the diaphragm has got space to descend into the belly, creating a nice relaxed breath. So the rib cage is relaxed, so the neck, the collarbones, the front of the chest is relaxed. If I'm lying down, I can keep the knees bent, I can straighten up the legs. I'm just going to let the floor support me. Popping a little pillow, something under the head if I feel that the head is not quite in the right position. Encouraging the arms to open, turning the palms to face up and towards the ceiling. Really try to let go with the front of the shoulder, with the neck, with the chest. And then as I focus on the breath, this is if I can try and create that nice relaxed belly breath. I'm just going to do the usual quick scanning on the body. So noticing whether the pressure is on one side more than the other, noticing if the arms are in the same position or one feels slightly different, one leg feels slightly different to the other. My head might not feel centered, my body might not feel centered, just slightly leaning to the side. I'm not changing anything, just noticing where the body is at the moment and then how I feel at the moment. As I feel a little bit more settled with the breath and with the body, I'm just going to start focusing on the shoulder girdle. So picture your shoulder blades behind the rib cage like two little cars running up and down. So I'm going to try and let them ride up to my head, to my ears, and then I'm going to try and press them down, pull them down towards the hips. So I'm going to pull them up towards the head and then down and towards the hips. So see if I can picture them gliding against the back of the rib cage. See if I can ease off some of the stickiness, some of the stiffness into the shoulder girdle. One side might be feeling a little bit smoother or easier to move than the other. Again, I'm not forcing anything. I don't want to cause pain. I just want to try and encourage a better movement. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and easing them down. Think of sliding your calves as close to the hips as possible. So really trying to depress the shoulders. And then this time I'm going to focus on the neck. I'm going to start turning the head gently from side to side. See if I can be aware of the position of the shoulder girdle as I'm turning the head. So making sure that it doesn't feel as if the shoulders are gradually creeping up to your head, creeping up to your ears again. See if I can keep them down and away. And then just turning the head as far as I feel comfortable going. Okay. As usual, noticing any difference between the right and the left turn. I don't want to force, but each time as I feel that the movement starts feeling a little bit warmer, I might just try to see if I can look around a little bit more. So think of turning the head, but also follow with your eyes. So see if you can try and turn the eyes right onto the side as if I was trying to look even further around and then coming back. 3, 2, 1, and easing back to the middle. Returning the head back to the center. And then this time I'm going to go back into the shoulder girdle. Instead of shrugging one shoulder up, instead of shrugging both shoulders up at the time, I'm going to just do one side. So focus on your right shoulder. I'm going to try and pull it up to the head, press it down. Pull it up to the head, press it down. Pull it up to the head, press it down. And then this time, see if I can try and roll my little card, so the shoulder blades, a little bit faster. So I'm just going to go up, press, up, press, up, press, up, press. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to press it down and keep it there. And then just to take a moment to compare the right with the left side. The right side should be feeling a little bit more dropped than the left, so a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to do the same thing with the left. So I'm going to pull it up to the head, press it down and away, pull it up to the head, press it down and away, up to the head, press it down and away, and then see if I can do it a little bit quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm just going to keep the shoulder down there. And then going back into the neck. This time, instead of working rotation, I'm going to work into a little lateral flexion. So instead of turning to look at the shoulder, I'm just going to try and drop my head to the right shoulder. Ease my way back to the center, and then I'm going to try and drop it towards the left. Back to the center, I'm going to try and move it to the right. Back to the center. And taking it left. So keeping that nice relaxed movement going, same as I did for the rotation. Noticing difference between right and left side, making sure that there is no pain, there's no shooting pain down the arms, there's no referred pain, so no tingling into the fingers, into the hands. Again, feel the position of the head as you're trying to bring the ear down to the shoulder. Am I still looking straight ahead? So if I'm seated, I should be looking at the wall in front of me. If I'm laying down, I should be looking at the ceiling above. So if I suddenly find myself looking to the side, then I know that my head position has changed. I'm going into a rotation again. So see if I can try and keep the rotation out of it and then just flex it from side to side. So imagine just a nice gentle wind blowing the head from side to side. 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back, returning the head back to the center, and then I'm going to go back into the shoulder, but this time I'm going to start moving into the shoulder joint, starting off with a little dumb waiter. So I'm going to bend the elbows, turn the palms towards the head. I'm going to squeeze the elbows into the side of the rib cage. So I'm going to try and squeeze them in, see if I can get them to almost like touch the waist. And then keep them tight to the waist. I'm going to start to rotate in the forearms out. So I'm going to try and picture the thumbs going to the wall behind if I'm seated, to the floor if I'm lying down. The tendency here, if there is a lack of external rotation, is to compensate by letting the elbows pull away from the side. So that gives me more space, I can move easier, better. See if you can keep the elbows close to your side as you rotate. And then the other one is the elbow changes position. So instead of keeping that 90-degree angle as the arm rotates, the elbows tend to open up and extend away. That makes it easier again. So see if I can keep the elbow bent at 90 degrees, no matter if the arms are into the starting position at the front, or if they're rotating and opening to the side. 5, 4, relaxing the neck, making sure that I'm not shrugging. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. So it's a little bit more movement deep into the shoulder joint. I'm going to move back into the neck, and this time I'm changing the direction of the movement again. I'm going to try and combine the rotation and the flexion, rotation and flexion together. So same as we did at the beginning, I'm going to turn to look around with the right shoulder. When I can't turn any further, I'm going to tuck the chin in, and then imagine to be able to touch the tip of your nose to the top of the shoulder. So I'm going to try and curl the head forward slightly. Then I'm going to ease back, rotate the head back to the center. I'm going to turn to the left. I'm going to tuck the chin, see if I can bring the nose down to the shoulder. Coming back, turning the head back to the middle, and then repeating to the other side. So see if you can picture the stretch wrapping around the neck and also coming down side back of the neck as I tap the chin and try to drop the nose to the shoulder. Make sure that the shoulders are not coming up. Not the one that you're moving towards, but not the other one either. So see if I can try and create a little bit more traction down the side of the neck as I'm turning away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Again, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the neck. A little bit more movement into the neck. I'm going to go back into the shoulder. This time I'm going to try and get into a slightly bigger movement, focusing on the shoulder joint and the shoulder girdle together. I'm going to start in a similar position as before, but this time it's a more relaxed one. So I'm still going to bend the elbows, bring the elbows to close to the side of the waist. I'm going to externally rotate the arms as much as I can, and then imagine to be sending your fingertips towards the side of the room. So I'm going to let the arms open out to the side as if somebody was grabbing hold of my arms and pulling them out of the shoulder socket. To come back, I'm going to keep that external rotation, and then I'm just going to draw the elbows all the way back in. Then I'm going to turn the arms back to the front, and then I'm going to repeat it again. So I'm going to rotate them out. I'm going to reach them out. I'm going to pull them back, keeping that rotation, and then I'm going to rotate them back to the front. So see if you can, especially as the arms come back into the side, maintain that external rotation. So see if I can feel the tension, not just deep into the shoulder joint, but also behind the shoulder blade. So the lats, the trapezius, and the rhomboids all working together to draw the arms back into the side before I turn them back to face the front. So I'm going to rotate out. I'm going to reach, pull back, back to the center. 2 more times. Rotate out, reach, pull back to center, and then coming back. Last one. Rotating out, reach, pull back to center, and coming back. Releasing the arms down, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. So there's a little bit more movement through shoulder girdle, between the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint. I'm going to go back into the neck one more time. This time I'm going to change the stretch a slightly different way. I'm going to start going side to the shoulder. So think of your right here dropping to the right shoulder. So I'm going to try and bring the head down to the shoulder. So I can feel the stretch right down the side of the neck. Then from this position, I'm going to then turn the head as if I wanted to look down at that right shoulder. Then I'm going to turn back, and then I'm going to bring the head back to center. Then same thing to the left. So I'm going to drop the left ear to the left shoulder. I can feel the stretch down the right side of the neck. I'm going to turn to look at the shoulder. I can feel the stretch wrapping around the front a little bit more. Back to the front, returning the head back to the center. One more time on each side. So going off to the side, turning back, lifting back to center. Dropping down to the left, turning back to the front, lifting back to the center. Giving the shoulders and the neck a little roll. So next movement, you should be feeling a little bit warmer, a little bit more relaxed. I'm just going to get a little stretch going at the very back. So I'm going to hook the hands around the base of the skull. So think you grab hold of the skull, so just the head. And then imagine to be pulling the back of your skull off the neck. So I'm going to lift the head if I'm lying down. I'm going to tuck the chin in and then really try to create length down the neck. See if I can try and pull the base of the skull away. I'm not forcing anything. Once you feel that the head is lifted, so the neck is under a little bit of traction, I'm going to resist. So with the head, I'm going to try and lift the back up, but with the hands, I'm going to hold. So the head shouldn't be moving. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Deep breath in. As you breathe out, to stop resisting with the head. See if you can try and lengthen through the neck a little bit more by reaching into the skull, pulling with the hands. One more time, I'm going to push back into the hands, hold with the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Deep breath in. As I breathe out, relax in the neck. See if I can try and lengthen a little bit more using the hands. And releasing back. Returning the head back to the middle. Dropping the shoulders, relaxing the shoulders. And then we're going to start moving down through the thoracic spine too. So I'm going to bring the arms to the front, clasping the hands together or keeping the hands apart. And then I'm just going to start swinging gently to the right or to the left. So I'm going to rotate to the right. I'm going to turn the head to the right to look around at the right shoulder, easing back to the center, and then swinging the arms to the left, turning to the left, turning the head, looking behind the left shoulder, and then coming back. So if I'm seated, I've got freedom as there is nothing behind me blocking me or preventing me from moving. So I've got quite a good space I can play with to rotate from side to side. If I'm lying down, the space is a little bit more limited because obviously I'm lying on the mat, but I can still turn. So with the head, I can follow the arms, I can look around, I can try and look right down the side of the mat. Then coming back, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other side. Coming back and then rocking to the other side. The legs are nice and still. I'm just gently rocking from shoulder to shoulder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the arms, relaxing the back. It's a little bit more movement. I'm going to change the direction of the movement again. Going into a little lateral flexion, moving the all of the back. So if I'm laying down, I might want to support the head with one hand, while with the other arm I'm going to reach down the side. Coming back to center, swapping the hands, and then reaching down the other way. If I'm seated up, I don't need to support the head, as the head sits on top of the shoulders anyway. So I'm trying to maintain the lift of the front and then gently ease my way from side to side. As usual, picturing that sets of pulleys coming down the side of the waist that is pulling you down on one side, lengthening on the other, and then swapping the air foot, pulling down on one side and then lengthening to the other. So especially if I'm seated, just making sure that I'm not coming forward into the legs, so I'm not compressing the front of the body. I'm trying to keep it lifted. I'm trying to keep it open. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, relaxing the back. There's more movement into the upper body, into the upper back. I'm going to start to moving down into the lower back. Staying with the lateral flexion, I'm going to go into a little hip hinge. So think of the same sets of pulleys. Instead of pulling you down, this time they're pulling you up. So instead of trying to bring the ribs to the hips, I'm going to try and bring the hip to the ribs. So I'm going to hitch the right hip up and release it down, hitch the left, release it down, hitch the right, hitch it left. So if I'm seated, imagine to be taking the weight off the seat bends on one side. So I'm going to try and make my right seat bend a little bit lighter, lifting it off the chair if possible, and then pulling up on the left side. Just a little rock inside to side through the hips. If I'm lying down, the pelvis is staying flat against the mat. I'm just going to try and pull up one hip, then center, pull up the other, and center again. So it's almost like a little massage across the lower back, the very bottom of the spine. See if I can try and keep it relaxed. So again, notice any tension into the shoulders, into the neck. I'm moving the hips, so why should I be stiffening my neck? Why should I be gripping and tensing the arms? The upper body should stay relaxed. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release and back. Resetting the hips, resetting the pelvis back into neutral. And then from hip hitching, I'm going to go into a little pelvic tilt. So still working, still focusing on the lower back, but this time I'm going to tilt the pelvis back, pressing the lower back into the floor, trying to scoop the belly in. So think of the belly drawing in, following the spine down. And then I'm just going to release and then back into neutral. So I'm going to tilt and releasing the tilt. So this time the pelvis is rocking gently forward and back. See if I can keep the legs as relaxed as possible. So making sure that I'm not driving too hard, tensing too much on the legs. If you're seated, it's a little bit harder as you don't have a kind of like a guideline. If I'm laying down, I know that the floor is under me. So I can just try to press my lower back into the mat. If I'm seated, there is nothing behind. The tendency if the lower back is stiff is to move from the upper back. So see if you can just be aware. So can I keep my upper back reasonably still and just rock back from the hips and the lower back. So I'm going to roll back onto my tailbone and then I'm going to come up onto my seat bones. Roll back onto the tailbone and then come up onto the seat bones. So a nice gentle rocking. See if I can feel the lower back lengthening as I tilt the pelvis back and then shortening slightly as I come forward again. Lengthening as I tilt back and then shortening as I come forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, releasing the hips, relaxing the lower back. There's just a little bit more movement down onto the base of the spine. I'm going to start focusing further down into the hip, into the leg. First thing, I want to try and get the hip joint warm, so I want to get it going. So I'm going to start with little circles. So as usual, if you need support for the leg, you can use the band around the back of the leg. So I'm just going to swing the band around the back of the leg, or just use my hands if I'm seated, as the leg is quite close, so I can just grab hold of the leg. If I'm laying down, the leg is further away, so I don't want to strain the neck, so I'm definitely going to be using the band. Lifting the leg up so that the knee's pointing up at the ceiling. And then I'm just going to guide the leg into little circular movements. So see if you can think of massaging the inside of your hip joint. So can I let the top of the leg glide into the hip socket, creating a nice smooth movement, making sure that it's not grinding, it's not pinching, it's not catching. So I'm not trying anything too big. I'm keeping it small. So if I'm seated, I don't even need to lift the foot off the ground. I can just try to create a slight lift as I come round and then ease the leg back. I'm going to reverse the circles going the other way, adjusting the size of the movement if I need to. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back, relaxing the leg, giving the arms a little bit of a rest. If I've used the arms to guide the leg around, and then I'm going to switch the band behind the other leg if I'm using the band. And then same as I did on the right side, I'm just going to start to draw little circles with that leg. So nice and smooth, nothing pinching, nothing grinding. Again, notice the movement in this hip. It might feel a bit stiffer. The leg might not want to go into that circle. It might feel more like an oval. It might feel more like a square. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to try and keep it as smooth as possible. And then I'm going to reverse it, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the leg, releasing the hip. So the hip feels a little bit warmer, so I could feel that little movement deep into the hip socket. I'm going to try and see if I can start increasing the range slightly, just focusing on one direction or two direction, out and back. So I'm going to focus on my right leg. If again I need a little bit of a guiding through the arms, I'm going to use the band around the leg. This time the foot stays on the ground, whether I'm lying down on the back or sitting up, so the foot keeps on the ground. I'm going to start opening the right leg out to the right. So think of your thigh bone rotating out into the hip socket as well as moving out to the side. Then picture the reverse. Think of your thigh bone turning into the hip socket as the leg comes back towards that center line. And then again, so staying on the right side. So picture the thigh rotating out and opening, and then rotating in and closing back. And then progressively see if I can start increasing the size of the movement. So if the leg allows me to, I'm going to start opening the leg just a little bit further out to the side, but I'm going to start pulling it a little bit further across the two. As usual, if the leg is maybe a little bit temperamental or feels quite stiff, I can just guide it with the hands or with the band. So I'm going to try and see if I can push it across a little bit more before I try to open it and take it out. See if I can pull it across a little bit more before I push it out a little bit further. So feeling that slightly bigger movement into the hip socket, this time just happening into that plane, horizontal, parallel to the floor. So nothing is grinding, nothing is catching. There is no pain into the hip, but just a nice steady movement. 3, 2, 1 more. And releasing back, relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip. I'm going to repeat the same thing with the left. So again, if I need a little bit of guidance, I'm going to use the band around the leg or use the hand. And then focusing on that left leg, I'm going to start opening out to the left. Think of your thigh turning out. And then turning in and coming back. So turning out to open. And then turning in to close. So again, finding that deep massage into the hip socket. So it feels quite smooth. I'm going to try and see if I can open it up a little bit more. So pushing the leg out ever so slightly, and then start pulling it across a little bit. Pushing it out just slightly. And then pulling it across. So keeping that movement going. Same as on the other side. I'm not forcing anything. I might use the hand to encourage the leg to move just a little bit more. And a little bit more coming the other way. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last time. And releasing back, easing the leg back to the middle. And then now that the leg is a little bit warmer to the movement, I'm going to see if I can stretch it. So shuffling the feet a little bit closer together, see if you can bring them to touch. And then I'm just going to let the knees open out to the side. If I'm lying down, just let gravity pull them down. So I'm just going to let them flop out. If I'm seated up, obviously gravity is not working with me. So I'm just going to use my hands on the inside of the leg, applying a gentle pressure to try and ease some of the tension of the inner thigh, the inside of the leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Then I'm going to focus just on the right leg. I'm going to pull the right leg across to the left. So if I'm lying down, I can keep the knees bent, let both legs roll to the left, twisting in that direction, or I can pull the leg towards me and then twist in that way. If I'm seated, same, I can push both legs, or if I can, I'm going to cross to the right on top of the left, and then I'm just going to pull it across. So see if I can think of a stretch coming down the side of the leg into the side of the hip this time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing back to center. And then trying the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to pull the left leg across to the right. So letting the legs roll over to the right, or lifting that left, and then pulling it across until I can feel the stretch down the side of the hip, and then across the lower back a little bit more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing the legs, relaxing the hips. If you're lying down, rolling over onto your side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting. As usual, finding your comfortable seated position. So leaning against something behind you. If you need to, giving yourself a little bit more support. Finding the seat bones. See if I can try and lift myself right onto the seat bones. And then same as I did at the beginning, think of creating space at the front of the body. So hands behind, hands at the front. I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to send the breastbone forward and up to the ceiling. I'm going to look up. I'm going to look back as far as I can. And then I'm going to come forward, allowing the chin to drop down, the shoulders to come forward, as far down as I feel comfortable dropping, and then lifting again, extending through, so lifting through the chest, extending into the back, looking forward, looking up, looking back, and then coming forward, and then gradually rolling down. Last time. Lifting up, extending through, looking forward, looking up, looking back. Releasing, coming forward. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow. Give yourself a clap. Well done. Any question?